Welcome to Michelle's Life on Repeat. Today I wanted to share with you a Porch Swing Book review. And before we get into that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself so you know who I am. I'm Michelle. I'm 52. I am a wife and mom of 3 beautiful adult children. And growing up, I had dyslexia. Somewhere in my 20s, I felt really confident and began reading again, began searching out things for pleasure to read, which I had done while I was in high school. I slowly realized how much I loved old books when I go into a secondhand shop. The feel of the leather, the smell, the beautiful cursive handwriting that was on the inside from the inscription of who was receiving the gift and giving the gift. I just began a rescue mission. I kept thinking to myself, this book has been around for hundreds of years. It's been passed down from generation to generation to generation, and I wonder who read it, how their lives turned out, whether they ever read it or if it just sat on their shelf. But they did pass it on, and eventually it came down to where someone turned it into a secondhand shop. I just have to rescue them because I just can't imagine them sitting there unread after the legacy of these books. I know they're not living, but you would think they were a living thing the way I love them. But no, I do love them, but I don't collect. I'm not on a hunt to collect books. If I am at a store and they pop out at me, I will spend the $2, $3 to get the book. It's just worth it to me. And that's how my collection has slowly grown. It's not that large. I'm not one to ever really repeat a book. Once it's in there, it's in there. There's no suspense, and I don't usually watch a movie twice either. I started going through my bookcases that I have of the old ones and noticed 2 of the Thomas Harding books. I just picked up the first one, started reading it, and I really enjoyed it. And then I went onto my library overdrive system and requested the book to come in so I could listen to it on my earphones in bed at night when I have a hard time sleeping. I fell in love and with the writing of Thomas Hardy. I can't wait to start book number 2. But the first book that I started was Tess of D'Urbervilles. And I look forward to sharing it with you. If you've read it, please let me know down below what you thought of it. If you haven't read it or it's been a long time, go pick it up and enjoy it. About me. Sorry, this chair makes a little squeaky when I lean forward. I'll just rock. So that's a little bit about where I come from when I say I love books. I love it with an appreciation. I treasure and I value the gift of being able to read. It's a treasure, and I don't take it lightly. I went into a trade school and then turned into a full-time mom, raised 3 children, have been stay-at-home ever since. So I don't come to the table presenting academic language. I come to the table presenting myself as just somebody who loved a book, and hopefully we can resonate and you can read the books too. And I'd love to hear your comments down below about what book you're reading, or if you have read any of the Thomas Hardy books right now, since that's the topic I'm on. I'd enjoy hearing about that. What I loved most about this book, Tess of D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. It was written in 1890 to 1892. It started as a periodical that came out in the newspaper, and they would get installments of it every week, and that would eventually compile up to make the books. It takes place in about 1870 in the rural, impoverished area in England. And the main character is Tess. And Tess is a young woman. It starts out, I believe she's about 15, 16 years of age, and she comes from a poor family. Her mom and dad and her siblings are some of the characters that run through the book. There's 2 other main characters in the book, and they're both men that she encounters throughout journeys on her life. I was struck when I was reading it with my emotions. I thought, no way, that's not fair. And what mother would say that to her daughter? And I found myself getting riled up. And I thought, oh, that's a good book when your emotions begin to get involved. Oh, okay. Remember to go back culturally. 100 years ago, you know, what was acceptable? What did women and men look like when they courted each other? Like part of the book, the main component of the book that shifts and hinges a lot of information has to do with I would classify it as a rape, I guess, nowadays. Back then too, it was probably a rape more than it was consensual. But the naivety, the naiveness, I don't know, whatever correct word that should be, of this dear sweet girl and her parents not educating her on the ways of the world and how to watch for things like flattery of men, and we'll just leave it at that. I found myself throughout the book cheering her on and then able to relate to where she was at, but also going, no way, rise up, young one, let's go, let's get going again. And the book turned to a point where I was like, yes, all is well in the world. And then it changed again, and I'm like, well, that wasn't expected, that can't happen. And then it shifted again, and it shifted again, and I think to myself, that is what a good book is all about. When you anticipate it to be one way and it isn't, or you anticipate that certain things will happen, and maybe some of them do, maybe some of them don't. I really enjoyed that. But when I found myself sharing about it, that's when I knew that a character has entered my life that I probably won't ever forget. And that's what I love about a good book. History that mumbles around in your brain and in your soul. So go out and find the book. I love to listen to the books, but this time it was a funny, my book expired before I finished it, and there was a gentleman, a British gentleman, who was narrating the book, and I couldn't find that same book by that same narrator when it was expired. So I went to a different library and pulled up and got the book and continued on from where I left off. I only had like 2 or 3 more chapters left to go in the book, and it was a woman's voice, a British lady narrating, so it was like a jolt. My whole head heard one man telling the story, and then it had to switch. But a beautiful story. I loved it. I think you would enjoy it too. By Thomas Hardy. Tess of D'Urbervilles. Thank you.